I teach like three people today. So the next panel is the security tech panel, and the topic for the day is defending the enterprise in AI. So we have four panelists, led by Manoj Chopra. Yes. CISO. Oh, it's not. Yeah. Can you check your links? You want to? No, it's not working. Yeah. It's not. Toot, 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 toot. Good. Good. Yeah. Let me get my notes up. Do that. All right. All right. Is everyone ready for the session? Yeah. Okay. So I'm Manoj, and I'm a localite. You know, I live in Redmond. I work for a startup, primarily handling their engineering and security. We primarily do AI services. I also teach at Western Washington, and one of the things I learned is if I talk so much, people sleep. So I hope after a good session of pizza, right after lunch, yeah. I know, right? So we'll try to keep it interactive. So again, we want to keep this session interactive. So we will try to do our, I guess, back and forth for 20-25 minutes. But if you have questions and you really want to make a point, please do make a point. Just raise your hand. I'll get the mic to you. Okay. With that, let me have everybody in the panel introduce themselves. So let's start with Mimi. Mm.
Thank you, Manoj. I'm Mimi Lee. I'm also local to Seattle in the Ballard area. I work for a company called HackerOne. I'm the vice president of enterprise data and AI. That includes all our internal tooling, data, systems, as well as our AI transformation programs. Before that, I worked for Stripe, Amazon, Johnson Johnson. My first job was actually with NASA doing data from satellites. Very excited to be here with you all. And I'll pass it on to Jonathan.
Thank you, thank you. Jonathan Barrios, currently serving as the CISO for a company called Vindicia. Vindicia is owned by a larger organization called Amdocs. So I've been with Amdocs 14 years. In Amdocs, I lead security and compliance for all the SaaS business unit products. So Vindicia happens to be one of those products. And yeah, local here in Seattle. Also, I live in Renton and work from home. We do have an office in Factoria, but I like working from home. So keeping it that way. And glad to be here. Thank you for the invite and thank you for your questions. That's why I look forward to win these panels.
Thank you. This is Sangaraj Peshapan. I'm from Houston, Texas, working for iLink Digital as the CTO in security and cybersecurity AI services. Predominantly working on Microsoft products and working with clients very closely as a field CTO. and implementing all different solutions on this AI era. So glad to be here and looking forward for interesting questions today.
Yeah. So with that, one of the things we have a few topics in our mind, right? So we have a 4 or 5 topics. We met before and we started discussing, and it was given that we are all senior, like at close to executive level folks, we kind of see certain problems, and we wanted to see those discussions happen here in the open and kind of get a feel for what you have questions for, right? With that, so what is the new threat landscape? That's what we wanted to talk about. We all have been talking about AI since the start when the conference is called Data and AI. So I'm pretty sure you would have thought about the topic. So AI is a new threat landscape, right? But how do I face that in my company, right? That's what I wanted to talk about. We all kindly talk about it as AI slop. I hope everybody know what AI slop is, right? But what's happening in my company is we are primarily startups. We are about 80 people, right? We keep the cost down by hiring junior engineers. That's how we grow their talent, and with that we grow, right? And that's how we kind of get a win-win situation. With AI, what has happened is there is one thing which makes junior engineers more productive, but they also feel confident that whatever they spit out through AI is the right thing.
Mm.
Okay, so there comes the AI slop problem, right? It's not just the cybersecurity risk which I'm talking about; it's the confidence in of the clients on our code and on our product. We are primarily a product plus services company. So when a product crashes and we don't have a reason for why it crashes, and we kind of struggle to understand why it is, we lose the confidence. And that's, for me, it's more than the cybersecurity risk. It's the risk of our reputation going down because of AI slop, right? So that for me is a yeah.
I think.
Oh, all right. All right. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay. All right. You're good? Okay. All right. I didn't want to be loud, so just to make sure. Um, if I'm not audible, please raise your hand, and I'll keep moving my mic. I mean, it slowly drags away from me. Right? It's the weight, I tell you.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the engineering problem I'm facing, or the cultural problem I'm facing, is the AI slop, and people turning AI slop into confident code, confident quality code, right? So the way I'm trying to handle is the framework is AI is not going to go, right? We need to involve AI, and we need to have ChatGPT, Anthropic, or like we need to adapt to use those tools in our workflow, and there's no way around it. And I as a head of engineering cannot go to my executive and say I need to cut AI. Nobody should use Copilot. That's not going to fly, right? So that train has passed. So now what do I do to kind of tackle the problem? The way I tackle it is essentially every human or every engineer is going to write a lot of test cases to make it deterministic, right? So the only way I can have the AI slop output being tested is this AI either doing a manual test, which is your UI test, or automate the test out of it, right? That is the way I handle it. I mean, I have my engineers one understand the context. If it is UI, if it's programming backend, it's going to be a lot of test cases with a lot of coverage. Is that going to solve the problem? Not exactly, but at least it mitigates for all the things we know and we control. Okay, with that, I'll send the meeting. Yeah.
It's more than
Yeah.
notes, I guess.
Yeah. Can everyone hear me? That's okay. So pretty similar to what Manoj described. HackerOne. So HackerOne is a continuous threat elimination management.
Mike's
platform.
not-
Let me try this one. So my company, HackerOne, we are continuous threat exposure management. And what we do best is we bring the ingenuity of our platform of over millions of white hat researchers together with agentic capabilities to help continuously discover, validate, prioritize, and remediate threats. And what's interesting is that gives us a front of the room view of what's happening in the AI in this new world that we're all living in, right? So we publish a hacker powered security report every year. And in the most recent version, what we're seeing is over a 500% increase in traditional vectors. And then on top of that, right, across industry, what we're seeing is AI adoption is increasing by 270%. Uh, AI related security threats increasing by 200%. So all of what AI has done is it's really exponentially blown up, right? Speed and scale. And that's what Manoj was describing, right? In all the different ways. And we need to come up with new ways of addressing and new ways that make us faster. And AI is also the solution that's going to help us do that. So within HackerOne, we have agentic capabilities across code review. So getting ahead of the threat before it even becomes a threat. We have capabilities in terms of after helping our researchers on our platform discover new vulnerabilities. But we also have a lot of capabilities around managing, so triaging, prioritizing, right? When you're dealing with a 500% increase in threat vectors, what we all need is a lot of help to figure out which ones are the ones we need to tackle right away, right? Within seconds or minutes, and which ones are the ones that are more informational. Uh, I think what's really changed is that speed and scale, and AI is both driving the problem, but it is also the solution that we have to lean into. So, Jonathan? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to give you a different point of view. We work on different companies here. So, uh, from my point of view, based on what we do, we're a software development company. So we need to be ahead of the game in this case because we provide software to companies that depend on our technology to improve their technology. So we have to be on the top of anything that comes out. And one of the hardest things that we had to do, like it has been mentioned multiple times here, is there is no way to say no to a user. There is no fancy way or strict way, or there is no threatening. There is people want to innovate. So my takeaway has been switch from the LLM thinking to what I call the CLM thinking, customize language model. You need to customize your language model to fit. Doesn't matter if you're a startup with a data entry type of interns or if you're a mature enterprise, either way, you need to customize it. I usually make an example that I can go to the store and buy those robotic vacuum cleaners and give everybody a robotic vacuum cleaner. But the way that robotic vacuum cleaner is going to clean your house is going to be different from my house. It's going to be different from her house, his house, because we don't have the same layout, right? So everything needs to be customized to the needs that you need. So um, that would be the biggest takeaway I would leave you with. AI is here to help us. AI is here to speed up. AI is here to, as it was mentioned earlier, take away the mundane, the manual task. If you need to do it 2 times or more, automate it and make it intelligent. So that's where we see it from. We need to use it as a new tool, the sharpest knife right now in the drawer, and we need to make sure that we don't cut ourselves with it. So it's important that we customize it and we bring those guardrails and all these security elements that we have now. Uh, there is a cyclical process to technology. I believe that AI is not a new chapter in technology; it's a whole new book, and we need to learn from the previous book what can we avoid on the new book. And I think there is a lot that we can learn from history. So that would be kind of my 2 cents on that.
I totally agree with Jonathan, but a little bit going detail, right? So let's talk about typical infrastructure attack, right? So how do we do base LLM versus custom LLM, right? So because each infrastructure is different, being it in a cloud or being it in on premises. So depending upon the infrastructure landscape, take a base LLM and then have a customization on top of it, so that your infrastructure is completely secure. Point number one, right? So point number two, let's take another example, deep fake, right? So how do you solve deep fake attacks? because again, depending upon the industry, let's say BFSI or manufacturing, so the deep fake is also like taking its own turns in terms of LLM. I'm thinking like deep fake is going to be one of the most dangerous attacks that we need to find a robust solution. I'm not saying there's no solutions today. So that's going to be another bigger part that we would like to answer it, take a solution for those things.
So do you just to elaborate on that? So do you see any of your customers feeding the deep fake as part of their business problems?
100%, especially the BFSI, and especially when talking about paying an invoice to a legitimate vendor
Right, right,
versus paying an invoice to an hacker,
right.
right? So after the fact, they come to know only that the legitimate vendor sending another invoice. Then
Yeah,
this guy calls him and say, "Hey, we already paid you, right? Why you are sending me the second
very
invoice?"
interesting. Very
So
interesting.
things like that are happening every day.
Okay, okay. So yeah, please.
So you both are focusing on a customized large language model, right? So we call it fine-tuned model, right? So what are the benefits of having a small language model fine-tuned to a particular solution as comparison with using any large language model or a finest model available right now?
I would say the answer it really depends on the data sets you're handling with, right? So when compared to LLM versus SLM, so which model is going to work better for you? So that itself is a kind of a tabletop exercise slash assessment discovery to fix exactly what kind of models that you're talking about. So let's take an example, right, where you are working on a bigger bank where there are a lot of different transactions happening across the globe in terms of like let's say credit card, let's say in terms of loan, people are paying back to the mortgage, right? So those all the different sets I would definitely go with LLM. And let's say if you're working on a smaller shop, then SLM would work better on those cases, but I'll let others do.
Okay.
I was going to add that we're actually seeing fewer and fewer cases where we have to fine tune models. I think a year ago, fine tuning was the way to go. But the foundation model providers are investing so heavily in making their model serve as wide a landscape of applications as possible. At this point, it's all about, I think, what Jonathan said earlier and what a speaker in the previous panel said, which is how do you implement the model? That's what custom looks like is, what are your use cases for the model and how do you define the processes that you want the agent to take over for you and to scale for you? Jonathan?
Yeah, no, you hit it on the nail, the head of the nail. Yeah.
So I'm not agree with the words.
Let's finish that, and we'll come back to the question and at the end of the discussion. Yeah, please go
Okay.
for it.
No, I was gonna say that I agree with the assessments here because everything has to do with your point of view from your um, point of delivery. What do you deliver to that customer? And that's where the customization comes in. So having a fine-tuned language module, um, Claude, GPT, Gemini, whatever that might be, is great, but you need to build upon that all the typical guardrails and the usage. What is the use case? That tool. Why do I need it? What would be the target?
Yeah.
Fine-tuning the small language model aspect column will be better than the LLM. Okay. Fine-tuning was a procedure earlier if you're using LLM over here because you have to do a lot of GPU and a lot of RAM over here. It's a small language model, fine-tuning that will be very hard for a particular model base compared to a RAM model.
So
Okay,
I
go ahead.
I get that. I mean, it's the cost benefit analysis we
Yeah.
need to do.
Uh,
But I'm going to switch the topic a little bit so that we keep moving on
yeah, go
in the
ahead.
discussion. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Right. So I'm going to turn a little bit away from the infrastructure security and we talked about, and into more about the process and the people involved. Right.
Mhm.
So in my company, I don't have a culture problem of adoption. Right. I mean, we are a pretty young workforce, except for me, maybe. Right. I mean, it's but in general, everybody is AI first in my like everybody gets like I said, my problem is engineering AI slop, not exactly adoption pushing, right? So what I'm tackling is how do I make sure the processes are in place or human in the loop is in place so that there's the product has quality and security in place, right? So what is your, I guess, the cultural problem in your company? How are you tackling it? Uh,
Oh, thank you. on the previous panel, the wonderful women talked about how skilling is so critical. I think Prachi said it on the panel. And this is a societal problem that we're going to have to figure out. How do you upskill people? At the same time, within our company, what we've found to be really successful is play. So, what do I mean by play? I mean, we're at work. Why are we playing? So, I used to be tech support for my mom. I'm sure all of us have had this experience being tech support for our parents. And so never in in my mind did I believe that my mom could be an AI expert, right? But then, one day a year ago, the questions, I was in a very critical meeting. My mom calls me and goes, I need to know how this new tool I bought for my plants works. And I was like, oh my gosh. don't I've got to focus on this meeting I'm in, right? So that night I went home, I set up a separate ChatGPT account for my mom on her mobile phone, separate because she's actually really intelligent and sometimes she figures out how to do things with tools that I don't even understand. So gave her a safe environment to play in. And lo and behold, today I'm no longer tech support. ChatGPT is her tech support. She's telling me, sometimes we'll talk about topics and she'll tell me, well, ChatGPT said this, you're wrong. It's like, okay, good,
There
right?
you go.
So, what we're doing at HackerOne is we're really creating safe play environments for
Mhm.
our employees.
Right.
They are governed environments. We have what we call the Agentic AI Accelerator Program. We have champions across the company who help drive and evangelize this program. And we really encourage our employees to go and try out their own use cases, build for their own productivity, and in the process learn. And it's been amazing to watch, like, some of our top agent builders internally, our teams, like the people team building recruiting doc writer agents or JD doc writer agents, right? Or legal team building contract review agents. So not your traditional software engineers. And that's what's so great about AI is it really removes the barrier to entry of development. That barrier no longer exists. We just have to upskill our people.
Agree. We went to the point of gamifying, creating a game about it, and getting the people involved in the game so they get to touch and play with it, and then we kind of encourage them to create something not business related. It could be personal related. I don't care. You can ask to create something that tells you, the weather pattern in the Amazons every November 17, and just get to play with it. That way you get to understand prompting. That's what's going to make you better at whatever you do. The better prompting, the better output. And it has grown into agents that do tasks for us. We can now type in an agent, for example, who deployed the last RFC, when what files were modified, because now we have this other issue. Is it related to that issue? We can compare notes. So it's developing into tasks that are helping the team become better at what they do. And the old adage, people are not going to be replaced by AI, but by people that know how to use AI.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're pushing is in the company. Learn how to use it,
Mhm.
and make it your little intern, your digital intern. Do this for me, do that for me. Uh, you heard examples of people using it for replying to emails or reading their WhatsApp or whatever the case may be. So that I think that's kind of the best way to do it. Expose people, let them play with it. Obviously, not with real data, production data, but let them play with it.
No, you spot on, Jonathan. Just to add on to that, see, we got certain ways to do that, right? We are trained, our brain is trained to do that traditionally. So, experience also plays a major key factor here, adopting AI culturally, right? So, the more experienced person you are, I'm not saying it is plus minus, right? So, it's going to be taking a little time, but at the same time, you also know what kind of task AI can take it easily, right? When if you pick up a fresher, then his mind is like something different.
Yeah.
And then the other challenge I'm seeing is now people have to do their work and also adapt to AI, right? It's not like they're going for a college or university to take some training out of the work. So it's how you transform your work to AI is another cultural challenge we are facing now.
Yeah, that's totally true. So one of the things you mentioned, Mimi, is providing a safe place. I mean, again, you like Jonathan, you everybody refer to the safe. Like, how do you safely adopt? What is the safety measure like look like? Like, what is your idea of safety so that there's critical IP or your information is not leaked to the third party vendor? Yeah.
So, I think one of the key measure, I don't know if this is a measure but human in the loop, right, is a really important part of building for AI. And what I mean by that is AI is it scales us, it helps us, like, none of us really enjoyed sitting around and creating slide decks all day, but that's what occupied our days in the old days. Writing really long docs, 6 pagers, right? But now we have AI to help us. But humans are still the only creatures on Earth, I think. Maybe the singularity would happen, I don't know. But right now, we're still the only creatures on Earth who can be truly creative. We can create, we can lead strategically, we can provide edge case governance. So the play environments we've built, right? We're monitoring to ensure that what's being built still has humans in the loop. It also um, teaches, right, if it's not already there, the critical thinking, right? It's a training ground for the critical thinking of, like, how do you know when an AI is right or wrong? When we first built the playground, right, common question we would get from our non-technical teams was, how do I know when it's right or wrong? And my favorite answer is always, I don't know, but we're going to figure this out together, right? It's critical thinking and it's creativity. And we look at it together. And a lot of what you build with AI is going to be POCs. And that's something also that has changed quite a bit. In the old software world, right? We would all buy software and we'd implement it. And it would either work or it wouldn't. And, like, counting on software to get better is not a fun game. So I don't suggest it in the old world, right? But that's changed now. It really has. So when you implement AI, it's like the right way to do it is as a POC because it does get better. What Claude was able to do 6 months ago is drastically different from what Claude's able to do today, right? I mean, 6 months is even a long time. I'm talking weeks, right? 2 weeks ago, what Claude was able to do is probably they're about to launch a new model, right? And so how we develop is very different today. It's much more iterative. It has to be iterative. MIT published a study, or yeah, I think it was in a Fortune article about MIT's research study where they said 95% of all AI initiatives fail. And that's where most readers stopped reading and said, oh no, all AI initiatives are failing. But if you read the article further, what it actually says is that we're failing because a lot of us are stopping when we fail. So we encounter failure and then we shut the project down. It's really important with what the study says is that it's really important actually to embrace the friction, right? AI, like humans, to become anti-fragile, we have to experience a lot of failure, experience what that looks like, and know how to, get back up and keep going. And that's how we build great AI.
Mhm. Sure, sure. Thank you. I hope Artemis brings a hitchhiker on the way back, no? After going around the moon, Artemis, and maybe the transformer base is still there and we can take a picture. But addressing the point would be AI is not AW. Artificial intelligence is not artificial wisdom. And doesn't matter how much you train it, it will not be able to be as wise as a human. And you can prove me wrong 20 years from now. But I can bet you that's not going to change. Human in the loop that we call is basically our wisdom, our scars from learning the failures. And this tool doesn't have that. and it will never be able to develop on that. So that's kind of what I see it. The wisdom that we bring to these tools are the ones that are going to improve them in the speed of what we want them to do. But the decision making is still ours. The empowerment is still ours. They will be as strong as we build them. They will be as strong as we train them, but they will not be able to surpass that wisdom that we have. So, and that's bold to say, I know, but don't beat me up yet. Just wait a few years and then you can prove me wrong.
I would say the AI governance is really, really important, right? So AI governance is man-made. It's human, right? AI cannot. Maybe AI is doing its governance automatically, but AI governance is really, really important. So I see that as you buying a new house. The house is like having a lot of rooms, closets. It's all too big, right? So over the period of time, let's say 2, 3 years down the line, you don't know like where those spaces are. So like this kind of thing, if AI agents are every day, it's an incremental development. Like she was saying, Claude, every week there is a new feature coming up. So if you don't do the AI governance, we cannot control AI. Simple.
And if I could add on that point, we have been through the typical software development life cycle. Then we went to secure software development life cycle.
Right.
And we have AI software development life cycle. So at the end of the day, the development life cycle continues to be
Of course.
the center stage
Sure.
for everything that you develop. So you need to continue evolving that.
So that brings up a related topic, right? I
Mhm.
mean, one of the things you mentioned is it's very easy to build with AI. Just give me a second. We'll get to it. So it's very easy to build with AI, which means that every time you're thinking about buying a software, like is it a prompt to your cloud, or is it something worth spending $10 per user per month,
Right.
and an enterprise deal with that, which comes as the third party assessment and all that stuff, right? And sharing the data with the third party. So how do you think about build versus buy at this point in your
Oh,
enterprise?
yeah. The name of the game is modular, open, and provider agnostic. That's what we're really focused on right now. I mentioned we build a lot of POCs. Some of that is POCs of prompts to Claude, right? Some of that is POCs of software to see, like, is this agentic tool working for us? And if it's not, then it doesn't make sense, right? I think in the old days, a lot of times we just bought based on what the vendor sales team told us. That's not how the game is played anymore, right? The other thing that we like when I say vendor provider agnostic, I'll make it quick. What's really important is that we're not locking ourselves into multi-year contracts. We have everyone has to stay super agile, and look because the tooling landscape is just changing too fast for anyone to be locked into anything.
Yeah, strong supporter of build it. If you can build it in house, I think we should. The pace of technology is putting us from software as a service to service as a software. And I think many of these companies are going to start being charging based on the services they provide and, pay per use type of thing instead of multi-year contracts. And that's, I think, where we're going. We are moving forward to a place where why should I pay a company to tell me what kind of data do I have? DSPM. Why can't I do my own tooling to check what kind of data tagging and label DLP type of tool in-house? So stuff like that, I think, is going to start becoming more popular.
So the buy option is going to be reduced drastically according to my vision. But it again based on the use case scenarios, right? So if you're looking for a complicated system, definitely buy is an option. But all those kinds of different SLM applications, we will go with the build option pretty easily.
Uh, So with that, we'll close this discussion. We'll open it to Q&A. We have about 3 to 4 minutes. We'll take.
One thing that you were just answering before this was how we have human in the loop. There is demand for using AI and a rapid expectation to reach to result. And then there is the AI governance part of it. Right? So even if we don't make it completely autonomous, reliance on AI is increasing and it is hungry for data. how, from a leadership point of view, are you balancing between um, making AI more reliable by giving it more data, but data minimization because of governance that is required?
Again, we are talking about AI governance to your question, right? So, if you have a proper AI governance in play, meaning which who can develop, who can publish, which AI agent can access which application, right? The overall holistic portfolio is needed for the AI governance play. So, I would say AI governance is mandatory going forward to answer many of these questions like this.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. So we have more time for another question. Yeah.
I'll just say very quickly, Gen AI is new, but AI itself is not new. And a lot of the governance measures that you want to put into place were measures that we needed before. And so we just recently completed our 2-year lakehouse migration. So we were in siloed warehouses and our data was sitting in siloed systems. That's not that's just no one can afford that anymore. We have to centralize data to make it available for AI, to scale AI. But at the same time, when we built the lake house, we weren't building it with, trying to figure out new ways of governance. We were leaning into all the really important traditional ways of how do you secure a really well-built lake house, right?
Uh, yeah, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Uh, at the guys, at the level that you guys are there talks about, like, I'm assuming the cost that AI has, obviously it comes at a cost versus downsizing, because we see, oh, it's gonna, scale up to 30% of what we could do as a person. You could just, give me 1 million tokens and go nuts with it and, fire 2 people. So as, at the level that you guys are, how do you, trade between giving people, the power to upskill, use AI versus not downsizing enough that we do not have mid to senior level, players growing up? Like, is that a challenge at your level? And then how do you see, the roadmap shifting with how quick the landscape is, changing every day?
So we also ask guys who are using how AI tools to learn the system in terms of their big requirements, like teaching an associate and associate tech versus a resource working in HR that's legal. So we, from my perspective, so we have an assessment plan in place. So we can evaluate how much token is needing for this particular job, and then what kind of plan we can assign to this person. It's one measure we are doing.
Yeah, and in our case, we are evaluating also the human cost versus the commercial tool cost versus the internal or the combination. So it doesn't make any sense for me to build something in-house and then lose that expert, which is typical on commercial tools. You buy a commercial tool, you train somebody on the commercial tool, the person leaves the company, now you have a tool without an expert on it, and then you need to hire someone. I'm trying to avoid the same problem. You build something in-house, and then this tribal knowledge goes with the person, and then who's going to continue supporting the tool? Should I trust the vendor? Should I go commercial instead of in-house? And that makes also an impact on the pocket. How much am I going to spend? How my budget is going to look in the future? How am I going to spend the money between internal build versus commercial tools? Yeah. I,
Please go.
So I think Jensen Huang really recently said, and I don't remember the exact numbers, but if you're hiring a 300K software engineer, you should expect to include 250K in tokens to optimize that engineer, right? That's not just true for software engineers anymore. That's true. That's going to be true of every employee that we're investing in, right? The tokens are really going to allow us to maximize our ability, our human ability to drive strategic direction, provide creativity. Now, the cost of tokens, like any new technology, is going to come down over time. It's just how like we've seen it work over and over again, right? And I'm already starting to see, I talked to one vendor recently where there are new ideas around how to optimize your token spending, how you can even look at, like looking at capacity and cost, how you can essentially multi-process with token usage. So, like maybe for this particular task or at this particular time of the day, it's better to use Anthropic's tokens as opposed to a different time of the day or a different use case. It's better to use OpenAI tokens. And so, like, there's going to be a lot more thinking and a lot more new things coming out around how do you like most efficiently manage your token usage costs. But it's definitely worth it to maximize the human element that we are all really talented at.
Let me let me add one more thought to it, right? So we are all talking about cost of building. So yes, people, it does increase our productivity when we use AI to create new stuff. We don't talk about the cost of maintenance. I mean, that's where the actual, I mean, you need to build and then maintain for the rest of your life. So that's going to happen, and that's where you need engineers. And that's truly where I focus my engineers on. Okay, why do you need to know what we are building for? Is because when the customer asks why this is breaking, I need to have an answer on why this is breaking and how to fix it. And that, I mean, yes, AI is going to help in there as well. You're going to get more productive in fixing those issues as well. But reliability and security is there. At the end of the day, you need a human to come in and say, okay, is this the right thing to do or not? Right. With that, yeah. Next question.
And going.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, she's sorry about that. Let him go, and after
Okay.
you can go.
So, like you asked question about building or buying a software, right? Back a days, means we were using a waterfall model where building a software was taking more than a year to build a software. Then we come with the agile and scrum models where we can build feature by feature on an iterative way. But now means when we are using agentic AI, you can create a prototypes or proof of concepts in a days to evaluate whether a particular solution will be beneficial to you or not. And you can use a vibe coding also to create those prototypes, how it will look, how you can wireframe a particular solution to a problem.
Yeah.
So agentic AI is benefiting a lot when you want to work on a software development lifecycle. But again, you have to understand means where AI will fit in a complete SDLC or a pure SDLC or a CI/CD based SDLC.
Right. Yes. Thanks for your thought. Uh, here. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for the speech. I have a question about the AI governance. Recently, I've been heard about some companies have laid off their employees, but then replicate those employees' entire workflows, communication styles, working methods, and experience into AI agents. So my question is, are there any existing regulations or governance framework to prevent this from happening?
What's taken? That's a difficult one.
You think?
Yeah, please.
I think so. I don't think there is a governance or a compliance process for that as of now. So, to my knowledge, but, but it's something we can bring it to the table. We do also meet policymakers, things like that, right, who makes these kind of policies. So, no, I don't see anything like that.
So I'll take a tangential approach there. I mean, for a company which is growing, which is like ours. Oh, sorry, thanks. Like ours, where we need to build product as soon as possible and get to the market as soon as possible, and those are the kind of companies which will be able to hire more people. I mean, even though I say AI is there, AI is making more productive. When you're in a mature product and you've already in the market, you're trying to like your growth is kind of stabilized, and that's where you're looking for optimization. That's where you hear a lot of stories around how to cut headcounts, right? But what AI is also doing behind the scenes is the cost of creating a new idea into a business is gone down, right? At least in tech, right? So that is where you will hear more and more people like 5-member teams to 6-member teams getting into a business, right? And that's always the place where things will grow. Even before AI came in, the growth actually comes from the startup in the startup ecosystem, and which grows exponentially, and that's where the growth comes from. But not like always the mature product systems usually try to optimize for the cost. That's where I leave it at.
I'll just add one more thing, and also tangential. Uh, Last comment, I promise. So, I think most of my peers, at least in the industry, are thinking about it not as replace, but as reinvest, right? So, I was talking to a staff engineer recently, and what he said to me was 90% of the code that I'm publishing was written by AI. That's amazing. We don't want to replace that staff engineer. He's the one that's like leading all of our most critical projects because he's able to use AI to move faster, to scale broader. So, like, if you think about a P&L or any healthy company, right? If a healthy company is only looking at their bottom, or if any company is only looking at their bottom line, that's not a healthy company. Only companies who are thinking about how do you reinvest, that's where the health comes from. And again, I always lean into human ingenuity, right?
Cool. Awesome. So again, thanks so much for coming. We are still available. We'll be available hanging out. So just if you have more questions, please reach out. Thanks for the panel to come in here and spend the time with us. Thanks for Seattle Data AI Security and our sponsors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manoj. Thanks for leading us.
Thank you.
Oh, now.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So now we are on to the next exciting part of the day. We're going to announce the hackathon winners that was sponsored by iLink in middle of January. Oh.
For the first place, which was a web security app agent that was developed, the team that won is Jingwan and Nivi. Not sure if they're here, but congratulations to them. This is the use case that they developed, an automated web security testing agent that performs vulnerability scans, tracks progress, and then provides remediation with detailed reporting. For the second place, which was an Azure dashboard creator, the team that won is Amanpreet Bhatia and Christopher. Not sure if they're here, but congratulations to them. This is a brief overview of the use case that they developed. The rest of the participants, we have a couple who are in the room: Purnima, Sai Shruti Sridhar, Megha, Wen Hui, and Yan. Congratulations to all of you as well. Can you please come here to the stage? We have some certificates that we would like to give out.
Can you check the size here?
Purnima and Megha. Thank you.
We're going to have a 15-minute, 20-minute break, and we'll be back here at 3:15, and we have 3 more sessions.
Come here. Just come. Pannel, seriously. Me, how she was actualized. Your teammate who's not will you be able to pass it on said people? One person.